Sometimes it is good to get away. Away from work, away from routine and everyday life, and remind yourself of the things you love.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, had to reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99. What I thought was gone was sitting in my pocket in plain sight all along. I think it's time for me to go, burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way, fell between the foam, pulling the stitches. Time to let go, so come what may.
But let me start at the beginning. Let me start with summer. Summer came with colorful moments of sunshine and flowers. It brought the promise of warmth and light and beauty. But then it turned into an endless parade of hot and dry days and rainless thunderstorms. Everything was aching for water for weeks on time. Sometimes we got a little tease that left us longing for more, never quite enough. Then, at the beginning of September, it finally rained, and only a week later, the grass was green again. This is also how I felt about my life over summer. I started strong into the season by moving into my apartment and taking over a second job. But as the weeks came and went, I slowly started to run out of energy. Occasionally I was teased with a free day that left me longing for more. Never quite enough. So at the beginning of September, I decided to sneak away to the most peaceful place I know, hoping that a week spent with the things I love would let me too bloom again. I have not been at the cabin for over a year, which is kinda sad because it's only an hour's drive away. But not going so often also keeps alive that feeling of wonder, peace and magic that is always taking me over when I open those big wooden doors. It somehow feels like stepping into one of my dreams, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you. Please? Good? Thank you. Hey, runter.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. You cheeky boy.
And now I invite you to follow me through those wooden doors. I'll make a fire for us, and then I like to show you a couple of those things I love to do. Everybody has their own individual set of things they love to do. For me, it is active things like crafting, filming, exploring nature, and passive things like cuddling with Bray or watching a good Netflix series. Over summer, I often ended up not being able to squeeze in some of those things I love to do into my busy days. I told myself that it did not matter. One day soon I would have time for it, and not doing it today would not make a difference anyhow. But it kept bugging me, because I don't believe that at all. Let's be honest, there is always time. If something is truly important to me, I'll make time for it. I just chose to prioritize one of the passive things I love doing, convinced that only those would be able to help me restore my energy. But choosing one of those active things can be just as effective. I observed that every day I manage to actively spend a little time on something I love doing, the whole day brightens up, and I fall asleep, tucked in by the feeling of accomplishment.
Sleep, sleep, my love. I will keep you safe. Trust that I'll hold you tight during the dark long night. Sleep, sleep, my love. Dream, dream, my love. I will guard your heart. Keep it safe from harm and pain till you come back for it. Dream, dream, my love. Dream, dream, my love. Hello? Hey. Hey, my love. Almost like this. They're just the best.
Whenever I do something I love, I am relaxed. That is not happening with the things I don't like doing, so it is highly addictive. The more I include the things I love into my days, the more I tend to get annoyed with the things I have to do that are keeping me from my little dreams. I have not yet managed to find a good balance there. My head tries to convince me that in order to be more satisfied and less stressed out during my work days, I need to include more of the things I love to do. And that might be right in parts. But I guess it is even more important to work on changing my mindset about the things I don't like to do. Because vacations spent with little dreams I love don't come around that often and won't last forever. Whatever those things are that you love, make time for them, treasure them, because they will lead to glorious moments. Thank you. Thank you so much for stepping through the wooden door and being part of my dream. And now I hope you will spend a little time doing something you love.